ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another third-party unlicensed 1/6 scale figure unboxing and review. Now today we are taking a look at none other than the War Story Immortal hero, aka Todd McFarlane's Spawn in 1/6 scale. Now it's worth noting once again that this is a third-party unofficial figure. I did get mine from toyswonderland.com, and I have popped the link in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video, this is a review on a figure I picked up for my own personal collection. While you are down in the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon and join button, so you're notified as soon as a brand new review goes live on the channel. Now this figure very nearly didn't happen. When Todd McFarlane caught wind of some random company called War Story making a 1/6 scale Spawn, it's his character, he owns the rights. Understandably, he wasn't very happy. He sent a bunch of cease and desist letters, the websites listing this guy took down the listings, and people were thinking, oh no, is this even going to happen? Well, yeah, it turns out it did happen. On the side of the box, Immortal Hero, smack bang in the middle, an image of the figure. Then down below, a slogan that reads, "Heroes never die, justice never dies." On the side, Immortal Hero. On the back, a bunch of shots of his accessories, and just one more of the actual figure. Now, my only question is, why the hell is this box so big? I'm pretty sure I know why, and this guy might be controversial, not just because of the whole legal stuff, but for an entirely separate reason. I mean, look at the size of this figure. I don't exactly know what body this guy is using, but number one, he's huge, and he's also extremely heavy. Now, he does come with one foam block up on top, and of course, another down below. What we are going to do now is get all of his accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. Unfortunately, we don't get a display base. Kind of annoying, I would have liked to have seen one, but we do get an absolutely huge sword. Now, this thing quite literally is massive. The handle section is sculpted to kind of look like it's wrapped, but it isn't. There's a hole down below, so if you wanted to use some of those chains, you absolutely could. I do like the sculpt for the skull and the piercing green eyes. You've got some silver dry brushing up on top as well. Then the blade has a ton of texture and cracks that kinda look a little bloody. The middle section of the sword does have some lighter bluish grey shading. Overall, yeah, I reckon this thing looks really cool. Something that's potentially equally as cool is the big honkin' gun. I really like this. It's super blocky, it's really stylized, and the sculpt is good. There's a ton of texture here. It looks like pitted aged metal, but it isn't. It's all hollow plastic. It's nice and lightweight, which I think is a good thing. When you get weapons this big, they need to be light, otherwise the figure, let's be honest, will struggle to hold them. You do have this flashlight or laser sight on one side. I like the paint, it's decently metallic. Unfortunately though, nothing moves here. You can't remove the magazine, nothing actually functions, it's one solid hunk. You do also get two different styles of chains. One of the coolest things about Spawn, and I'm sure Todd will agree, is that he's constantly covered in chains. They're everywhere, they're doing their own thing, so yeah, you can recreate that in 1/6 scale as well. That does mean they are a bit of a handful to work with, quite literally. On this side, this one is a lot smaller and it's real metal, whereas this one has a spike on either end and there is a ton of it. There is so much chain here, you can pretty much wrap this around the figure multiple times. When it comes to swap out hands, for some reason, we only get two. One with the trigger finger, and yes, it's a rubbery style plastic, so putting it on the body, popping the gun in his hand should be relatively simple. I do like the texture, and I like the big nails, plus the lighter blue shading. Yeah, it's all good, but Why do we only have two? Where are the closed fists? Where are the open palm hands? I don't know, and quite clearly, War Story don't either. What we are going to do now, though, is get Spawn himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. So far, he looks really cool. The only issue is, he is absolutely massive. I don't know why they chose this body. To me, he looks closer to quarter scale than 1/6 scale, but nevertheless, if you want something big, if you want something imposing, this guy is it right here. Now, the body is big, it's beefy, it's muscular. I like the suit, I love the colors, that vibrant red with the washes in the crevices, the big honkin' cape with the massive collar, plus the spikes, the bullet belt, the metal chains. Yeah, it definitely looks like Spawn, and to me, it comes together beautifully. It's a very specific look for Spawn, and as I said just a second ago, he's huge. Up close and personal, kicking things off with the head sculpt first. It's not perfect. From certain angles, the shape can look a little funky. It's far too big, and the lines for the brows are really prominent. But in saying that, I still really like the head sculpt. It's undeniably Spawn. You've got the big green eyes, you've got the texture for the mouth area, the white is nicely painted, and it's not just paint over a black mask. The white sections are sculpted, you can feel the edge. Plus, there's shading, there are washes in the crevices. Overall, as I said, it's not perfect, but it definitely works for me. Now, you do have this massive collar that's part of the cape. It kind of feels like a red pleather. You've got a grain to it, a little bit of texture, plus a really strong wire. So if you pose it right, it can frame the head sculpt and make it look just a little better. You also have these chains along the front. They're real metal, and yeah, the skulls are too. Speaking of red pleather and wires, this cape is absolutely massive. You do have to attach it via some press studs along the front, but it does peg in place nice and securely. Up top, you do have what kind of looks like a hood, so you could have him wearing this. For me, it's just going to drape there. I do like the fabric. It feels like pleather, but it's really lightweight, so the drape is on point. You also have multiple really sturdy wires, so it will hold a pose. Then down below, the edge is nice and tattered. Around the front, he is currently wearing his bullet belt, although if you don't want it there, you can simply take it off. Each of the bullets do come out, and yes, they are real metal. The bodysuit underneath is this kind of stretchy rubberized fabric with texture printed over the top. The Spawn logo is glossy, and yes, it's screen printed as well. You do have one spiked section on one bicep, whereas on the other side you don't. His gauntlet is spiked, and when you're changing out the hands, do be careful, these are really prickly. I do like the gunmetal finish for the spikes. I also like the weathering and the washes in the crevices on both gauntlets. And yes, this one has a big honkin' spike. Out of the box, this was on the wrong side. I had to switch it, but super simple to do. Just slide the hand off, slide the gauntlet off, and then you can swap them from one side to the other. Don't forget, we do get a metric ton of real metal chain with spikes on the end, so if you wanted to, you could wrap them around the gauntlets, you could have him holding the chain, you could wrap it around the figure. The possibilities pretty much endless. The belt is made up of a mix of materials. You've got some real metal chains, the massive belt buckle is also metal, the strap is made of red pleather, then the little pouches are sculpted. They are nicely painted just like the gauntlets and these pouches around his thighs. Plus, coming down to the legs, not only does the rubbery suit continue, but we've got an asymmetrical design for the feet, and they look really funky. It's accurate to Spawn, but they are solid hunks of plastic on both sides. So unfortunately, even though they look good, I like the texture, I like the paint. That means no articulation from either side for the ankles. For a quick side-by-side comparison, here we have Spawn alongside Bullethead's Venom, and you may be thinking, Justin, what the hell, have you gone mad? Why did you bring out this random third-party Venom? And Yeah, on paper, it kinda comes across that way, but no, I promise you, I'm still sane. This Venom actually uses the same exact body as Spawn. Now, he's a little bit shorter, obviously, because he doesn't have the big head sculpt and the massive spiked boots, but underneath, it's the same exact base body, and that's why Spawn is as tall as he is. And just to hammer that point home, here we have Sideshow's Batman, who is significantly shorter, like quite a lot shorter. It almost makes Spawn look like he's in a completely different scale, but he's not supposed to be. He's supposed to be 1/6 scale, that's what it says on the box. Could you do Sideshow's Batman versus this Spawn? No, I don't think so. Spawn could just stomp on him, and it'd be game over. Going over articulation, do bear in mind this is my personal copy of the figure, so I'm going to be a little bit more careful. Starting off with the head sculpt, it's on a double ball peg, looking forward and back, swivel as well as pivot. The arms will go out to there, going forward and back, butterfly joint at the shoulder that also hinges up and down. Single bend at the elbow that does incorporate a swivel, plus a hinge and swivel for the wrist peg. The torso does crunch forward and back, swivel as well as pivot. The legs will go forward to there, going out to there. Swivel at the upper thigh, single bend at the knee, and then, due to the design of the boots, nothing for the ankles. Wrapping up on War Story's Immortal hero. Now, going into this, I was expecting a 1/6 scale Spawn figure. Now, at the end of the video, obviously, that's not what happened. We got an absolute monster here. He's a lot closer to quarter scale, at least in my opinion. Does that ruin the figure? For me, no. I actually like the size. It works to his advantage. He has more presence. He's this big, imposing figure. But if you do pose him up alongside other 1/6 scale figures, then yeah, War Story, we have a problem. Why did you make this guy so massive? I like the size, and this is coming from someone who overall likes the figure, but if he was a little bit smaller, yeah, I'd probably like him just a little more. I still like the body, it's big, it's beefy, the articulation is limited, but it's enough for me. I love the cape, it kind of takes on a life of its own, it's really fun to pose and work with. He's got a bunch of chains, the accessories are good. Overall, he checks a lot of my boxes. Will he work for you? Well, that's going to be entirely up to you. If you don't care about the size, go for it, pick him up. If you do, and you want something that's going to scale well, this guy is an easy miss. I'm sure someone is going to make a proper 1/6 scale Spawn. I would love to see 3-0 do it, or maybe even McFarlane themselves. I mean, why not? They have the license, it's their character. They make figures, I would love to see their take on a 1/6 scale Spawn. But for now, this is our only option, and if you don't mind the size, yeah, he's a pretty good one. Now, once again, this is third party, it's unlicensed, it's an unofficial figure. Now, I got mine from toyswonderland.com. I have popped the link in the description below for your reference purposes only. This is by no means a promotional video. This is a review on a figure I picked up for my own personal collection. If you are heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video.